God has chosen you for a purpose and a plan, and you have been chosen from birth. And the enemy knows this. Just like when Moses, I'm reading Acts 6, and Stephen's retelling the story of Moses. So Moses was chosen to save a nation. If you recall, he was attacked from his birth. The king did an edict to kill every male firstborn. God saved Moses. Moses was saved because Pharaoh's daughter found him and raised him in the palace. Moses was in the palace for 40 years before he felt the need to go check on his people. Acts 6:24-25 says, when he saw one of them being mistreated, he came to the rescue and avenged the oppressed man by striking down the Egyptian. He assumed his people would understand that God would give them deliverance through him, but they did not understand. Moses showed up again the next day to make peace again among his people, but the people confronted him, saying, who appointed you ruler and judge over us? Are you going to murder us like you murdered the Egyptian? Moses felt God's calling in his life, but it was not time yet. It caused Moses to flee into exile into the wilderness for another 40 years before God showed up in the burning bush. And at the time that God showed up in the burning bush, although we know from the passage before that Moses knew that he was called to deliver his people to some capacity, Moses was still terrified. Moses actually literally said, send someone else. If God has a calling on your life, you will feel it. And when God is ready to rise you up in his perfect timing, you will know it. I believe God is rising his people up now. The question for you is, will you be ready, or will you allow your wilderness season to quench your fire and to cause you to lose your courage? The purposes that God has for us are abundantly more than what we can ask or imagine. They are impossible plans because God wants to do it. He wants to do it through his strength, his power, and his might. If life is feeling impossible, if the purpose that you feel in your soul feels impossible for you, that's exactly where God wants you. Your 1% is to return to him, to continue to hope in him, to continue to have courage, and to be ready to prepare yourself for what he's going to ask you to do. Do not be surprised, my brother, when these fiery trials come upon you. This is normal. This is what you have to expect. The enemy wants you to be down and discouraged and defeated, but God says expect the trials, especially when he's preparing you. He says in 1 Peter 2:9, but you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into wonderful light. You are called, you are chosen. Prepare yourself for the assignment that God has for you.